welcome to the Awkward Corner podcast. I'm Stephen, and with me is Amy and SJ.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Oh, jinx.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, you go first. Age before beauty.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Anything interesting you've been up to lately, guys?
Not particularly. I am itching to get into the topic, though. But unless you guys have got other things to say.
No, I have nothing.
Nothing this week. I mean, that's a shame.
I mean, I can tell you what I've been up to, but, you know, it's not relating to what we're talking about today. So.
What kind of pasta you cooked?
Yeah.
That's what they're here for. That's what they're here for.
Well, we did previously have a discussion about gnocchi.
We did have a gnocchi discussion.
I like it roasted.
Yeah. Well, I've never tried it roasted, so that's a game changer.
I'm happy just to have gnocchi.
Moving on.
Let's get into today's topic.
Let's do it.
Because I think this is an important one for
Yeah,
us,
definitely.
I think, as interior designers. Misconceptions of interior design. And there are a lot of them.
I don't think we've got time.
No,
I mean, where do you start?
We'll do our best. What's your biggest bugbear about that? Like, perception of interior design?
I think it's when people say, oh, you know, they mistake you for an interior decorator.
Yeah.
That is my biggest bugbear.
Yeah, this is something
And
we can dissect.
it's sort of general conversation, really. You know, when you meet someone new and they say, oh, what do you do for a living? And then you explain what you do for a living. Oh, wow. So, and their understanding of interior design is interior decoration, just purely
Yes.
just sort of painting and decorating. That's my biggest bugbear.
Yeah. On a personal level, I am so sick and tired of walking into people's houses and they want to show me their new curtains.
That's nice.
Or their flange cushions
Yeah. Or even their new black tiles.
with white grout.
Yeah.
You are going to have to let this go.
I mean, I will. By episode 10, I'm over it, honestly. But I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, you must be interested in this. You must want to see this.
Yeah.
Because, and that's just such a superficial approach, isn't it, to interior design?
And also, oh, what would you recommend? Do you get that?
Yeah. Oh, Christ.
Oh, what do you think I should do in this room?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've only been in it
here-
for like 30 seconds.
I'm
you
here
don't
for a
know
cup of
anything
tea.
about them.
But the thing is, you give them an opinion and it's like,
No, that's a bit...
Are you sure?
you know, or maybe not.
Yeah.
That's a
maybe
bit
not,
too
and then
much
they change
for
the
me.
subject.
Yeah.
It's like, that's insulting equally because then, well, don't ask then. Shut your face.
True story.
True story.
But it's right you bring up interior decoration against interior design, and we can also add interior architecture
Yeah.
to that. What do you think are the defining points of all three? I think interior decoration is straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The decoration of interiors.
Well done. Amy's a professional.
Hello.
I think it's that crossover between residential and commercial, really.
Don't you think that's why a lot of people assume they can do it? Oh, you've got a good eye.
Yes.
I've only got one good eye, but that's another story.
Well, that's a starting point, having one good eye.
It is.
Yeah. But that is quite often we hear I want to do it because I'm good at choosing colours, or
I've been told.
I've been told that I put things together really well.
Which is fine, isn't it, to a point?
It's a starting point, isn't
Yes,
it?
I think that's
It's a gateway drug.
Yes.
the gateway.
It's
the
an
gateway.
area of interest.
Yes.
But it's not just that.
It's lots
I
of
think
influencing factors. Ba-dum-bum. Shh. Did you just knock yourself out with the mic there, Stephen?
Yeah. I'm so distraught.
I think the issue is
I'm out.
when people don't then appreciate what else there is.
Yeah.
And then they become out of their depth. And that's when they start, as we were talking about last time, bad design. That's when they start making mistakes.
It's because interior design goes beyond the aesthetic.
Yes.
Which interior decoration, I would argue, is all about the
The
aesthetic.
surface, yeah.
Is what it looks
My cushions
like.
and curtains.
Your cushions and curtains.
Yeah.
And your tiles.
It's obviously a really
I have some
important
lovely
part.
curtains though.
You do actually have some.
Yeah,
really
I
good-
do actually as well.
Yeah.
I don't hate curtains. That's not what this is about, but
No. I also like curtains that actually sit on the floor.
mine do.
I can't stand it when they hover.
Are we talking puddling?
No.
No, not a puddle.
Not a
I
puddle.
think you
skim.
need I think
A
you need
skim.
a particular property to have a puddle.
That's probably true. And no dogs.
No.
No, definitely no dogs.
So, where do you think the perception of interior decoration that comes from? In terms of people thinking, oh, they know about interior design.
TV.
Oh yeah, I think you've
gotta
got
be.
90s TV to blame. I think your pal Laurence.
My pal Laurence. You leave Laurence
And
out of
Linda
this.
Barker.
Well, if you're going to keep going on about my tiles,
He'd love your tiles.
he would love my tiles. He's a man of taste, unlike some.
I wonder if he'd like the white or the black grout, though, to be fair.
Interesting. Maybe we could ask
We
him.
should ask him. We should
Yeah.
definitely contact him
Lawrence,
on
if
social
you're
media.
listening.
Or maybe you'd throw in
Yeah.
a bit of gold there. You don't know, do you?
Oh, that'd be nice, though. I could see that.
No, that's too much for my kitchen. It's not the vibe I'm going for.
Shame.
But I think particularly the speed in which these things were done. I mean, I don't even want to talk about 60-minute makeovers because I'm so stressed by that. Yeah. But it gives the impression that it can be done and it can be done quickly.
Yes.
With no consideration.
No. So
And it is just a case of wax and paint on the walls.
Superficial.
It is superficial.
Yeah.
That's it, superficial. And I think it's much more than that.
But it's very misleading, though, isn't it? Because we've encountered it quite a lot where people do have an expectation. They think they know what interior design is because of that kind of perception, which I do struggle with. Whilst it makes great TV, it's hard to then make people realise there's so much more to it than that. And I think people are shocked by that. That's my experience anyway. I mean, we talked about detail before in good design, and that's where interior design actually becomes a proper subject, a proper discipline. Unlike when, going back to changing rooms, your favourite clip of the whole of changing rooms.
Yep. The teapots.
The teapots. Do you want to explain that?
Well, essentially, what happened was the residents of the property collected teapots. It was their life work to collect these
beautiful.
teapots.
It's a beautiful
How many
thing.
teapots do you reckon
I
they
mean,
had?
it's got to be a good 24. Had is the
24.
operative word.
Where
If
were
not
these
more.
Where were these originally displayed? That's what I want to know. So what?
Who knows?
I'm
who
not
knows?
sure.
So they didn't have them out then. That you didn't see that. You just saw the
Not from memory,
aftermath.
no.
No.
And they built this sort of suspended shelving structure.
God, I mean, when you say the word suspended on is it changing rooms?
Changing
rooms.
rooms.
That's just
Poor
So
Andy.
those
what,
two-
48 hours changing rooms, right?
40, yeah, 20, yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2 days.
And they put these teapots on the shelf,
MDF.
but they also put books on there, quite heavy
Yeah,
books
I think
on
it was
there.
the books that did it.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think it was the
Oh
books.
God,
They
lucky
left,
mistake.
They came back. The shelving unit was on the floor. All the teapots were broken. Handy Andy just kind of walked around kicking shards of china.
I know.
It's
Not so
one of the
handy,
best
Andy.
moments of television thus far.
It was very
Quite.
much like that, wasn't it?
But again, it's just they didn't think about it because they didn't have time to think about it.
No. And that's the problem, isn't it? And in fairness to Linda at the time, she did put her hand up and say, as a designer, I got it wrong. Spectacularly wrong, given that you couldn't glue any of it back together.
Oh my God, that's dire.
But that just goes to show how misleading that
Yeah.
that kind of thing is. That you can just think you can go in, you've got an idea, you can do it. But actually, if you were doing that for real, how much thought would you put into an idea like that?
Or if you were doing that for belongings that belong to you.
Yes. You take a completely different
But
approach.
if anything, you would have more consideration and respect for other people's things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just being
Because if
conscientious.
I break my own teapot, I'm annoyed. If I break someone else's teapot,
It's, yeah, you're kind of a
guilt.
bit mortified, aren't you, really?
Awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward.
very awkward.
Very awkward.
I wonder, we've given Laurence a shout out. I wonder if we can give Linda a shout out because I would like to know how often she gets asked about that. Because it's one of the first things I would ask her if I ever met her.
I've never
Tell
seen
me-
the episode, so
Tell me about the tea. You've got to watch. It's
I'll
on,
have to
it's on
Google it.
YouTube.
Yeah.
If you YouTube it.
You've got to, as part of your ongoing design education, SJ.
no worries.
I think she gets asked more about Laurence.
You would.
I mean, I'm just going to say that.
You're about
You're
to sit down
obsessed,
with an
man.
interview of Linda Barker. So, tell me about Laurence.
What's Laurence like?
I bet you any money. I bet you any money.
Does she still have a range of whatever she has?
I think she
Home
does.
accessories?
I think so.
Is it home accessories?
I think
Bedding?
she was actually doing a range of kitchens for somebody as well. I want to.
Who is the interior designer? Eldec or Crawford?
Isla Crawford?
Yes.
Yes, Isla Crawford.
She was. I think I wrote it down. Bear with. I was watching something with her on it the other day.
This is the other thing, though, isn't it? Because Laurence started out, well, he didn't start out on changing rooms. He's a great designer. And he is a great designer, actually, if you look at his other work.
But do you think his designs on changing rooms were completely different to...
I think they were an element of him. But it's TV again, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's TV and adapting that. But he's made a lot of money and expanded his name from ranges of things, again.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Oh, yeah, of course, because he's got ranges out there,
you
hasn't
name
he?
it. He's got all kinds of things. And again, it's a perception, isn't it, of what we do as interior designers, because it goes back to the curtains, cushions,
but then
wallpaper.
Also, that kind of filters into trends and that issue about consumerism and how it filters down into retail, because that, again, is a perception of interior design and a perception of a particular style and design trend.
And I get it, because there are some people that having Laurence Llewellyn wallpaper, not sponsored, by the way, but having that is a way of them buying a little bit of interior design where they might feel that they can't actually explore.
Or they haven't got the skills to put something together. They think,
that must be good.
Of course,
because
it's got his name to it.
Yeah, done by him.
This is my point, though, about, what did we say her name?
Crawford. Isla.
Isla. Crawford. She did a range for IKEA, didn't she?
Yeah.
That's right.
And again, it's affordable. It's being able to own a piece of something that she's produced. But when you hear her talk about it, she talks about it with the same passion as she does some of her really high-end projects.
Yeah.
And she really talks about the kind of psychology, not in a wishy-washy kind of the way we might talk about the psychology of colour or whatever.
Yeah.
We can get onto that another time when we've got more time. But she talks about the psychology of objects and design and the impact that has on us as human beings. That it isn't just
Stuff.
Yeah,
but I think that's important, isn't it?
And that the same consideration is going into those high-end projects that she does as those affordable pieces in IKEA. That there's no elitism there. No. It's just all about design.
Good design.
And good design and enhancing people's lives
But then
through design.
There is also that element of, is it about not necessarily status, but it's about people's impression of you and your home. Does that make sense?
It does.
So looking at designers' work within a retail context such as IKEA, having a piece of their furniture in your home makes you a little bit more trendy?
Savvy.
Design savvy.
Yeah. I think there is an element of that. It's the same with the Kelly Hoppen stuff that she's done a collaboration with. I mean, we all want that, don't we? Moving from interior design then to interior architecture, do you think there's much of a difference? No. Well, that's interesting. I know you got told that.
I think that there is a massive perception.
Yeah.
We know that there's
very little
difference because of the type of projects that we've perhaps been involved in or have experience on.
My degree was interior architecture.
Mine was.
Mine wasn't. Mine was interior design. But I don't think probably the projects that I were involved in
much different.
Were probably any different. I think it's literally a title.
I think it's a title that's been given to give more credibility.
Definitely.
Because there is always that kind of interiors being the
100%.
little brother of architecture.
Yes, it's a perception problem.
But I don't think I don't think there is any difference. I think it's purely marketing.
No. I mean, put it this way, if you was to meet somebody new and you was to say to them, I have a degree in interior architecture or I have a degree in interior design, which one do you think would have more standing or opinion from that new person that you've met? Which, again, is all about perception.
It is all about perception.
We know there's no real distinct difference in the quality of the education or the type of projects you're going to be involved in. Do
you not think, though, and this is a purely professional opinion on the whole industry, that interior architecture wants to be seen, though, as something that's more, well, not just leaning to architecture, hence using the name, but actually the fact that it does do more in terms of repurposing. And I speak from experience, my degree was very much about that. Right? Rather than just interior design in terms of thinking about layout, and arrangement, and everything else. There was a sense of taking a building of either disrepair or of a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the emphasis was developing a whole scheme around
Yeah, I agree.
redesigning the building, and by quite a lot. Whereas I don't think sometimes interior design, they would necessarily go that far. I don't know because my experience is obviously my experience.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the projects that I did when I was at university. And we did quite a lot of buildings where we repurposed. There was a mill in Leeds that we worked on.
But what about the physical space as well? Like, how much of it was construction in terms of understanding, taking out
Walls.
and the kind of regulatory aspect of that, and the confidence to be able to go, actually, recognizing it and go, I can't move that, or
Yeah.
I can't touch that, or I need to bring in drainage, or because that's the additional level, isn't it? The layers of what interior design is into interior architecture as well.
And I don't know about you, but we did nothing residential.
No,
we didn't.
That's my point.
That's interesting.
I didn't do anything residential.
Yeah, which I think makes your course feel more interior architecture.
Yeah.
In some ways, because I think there's a more commerciality to it in the sense of the sector you're working in, not commercial value of the course.
Yeah, we didn't do anything residential. In fact, when you think about aesthetic and like surface design, I didn't have any residential experience until I actually went out into the industry.
Yeah.
Because all the projects that I did at university were all commercial projects. Retail, restaurant-based, hospitality, exhibition.
Which is good, though, isn't it?
Which is weird because...
It is weird. And
when you think about interior design as a title and then you guys are talking about interior architecture, it's very samey. But
it's interesting because then when you go into work, into practice, so when I went to work for the architect, they asked me to do, because I was the interior designer and they didn't have any...
Here we go.
They didn't have any...
Here we go.
They didn't have anybody else that did that sort of thing. They were like, can you do us a mood board for a residential scheme for a house that they were building? And I was like, well, how do I...
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
That as a thing.
Do you give them black ties?
With white grout. You need to stop.
I told you, episode 10, I'll be fine.
We're going to need to bring something to hit him with next time.
I've got something. There's a stick over there.
There we go.
I mean...
Next time you mention the tiles,
whatever you need.
It's coming out.
Look out. I'm going to avoid the tiles, judging by the size of the stick.
It's a big one.
Intimidating,
some would say.
I like the point you make, though, because I get this as a man when I've been to site on residential projects where, because I'm coming in as an interior designer, in inverted commas, there is an assumption about me quite a lot, that I'm here, and it has been said, you're here for the carpets and curtains, which is quite offensive, because I did the wallpaper as well.
And I picked the furniture.
And the plants I happen to be working with are mine. But there's this, again, a perception that I am gay. And
Stereotype.
for the record, I'm not. But it's that kind of thing, because again, if you look at TV and the perception of
Yeah.
of again how it's portrayed in that kind of very flamboyant
It's
style.
very feminine.
Yeah, and it's...
But then I would say as a woman that my style was not feminine in the
No,
slightest.
no.
Do you know?
Me neither.
Yeah.
In fact, yours is probably... And this is not meant to be offensive.
You were there for the wallpaper, weren't you?
But I would say that your tastes are probably traditionally more
flamboyant,
feminine
more
than mine might be.
flamboyant.
Probably are, yeah. Probably. Well, yes, residentially they are.
But it's very
not-
gendered,
But not
isn't
commercially.
But not commercially.
I think there's a big difference, isn't there?
Because I like to give people what they want in their homes, but elsewhere, not so. But I think that's, again, it feeds that kind of perception of how unappreciated interior design is, because, you've got these flamboyant personalities and these shows that kind of present it a particular way.
When you talk about that, I think that's a completely different podcast in itself. How you would approach a brief to a client that's residential as opposed to commercial.
I think that'd be a really interesting thing to do, yeah.
Because
Because it's two very...
There's so many different factors.
And don't you think it's much easier to come from commercial...
Yes, I do.
...than going...
Yeah, because... And I think it's because when you're working on a residential project, you have to literally strip right down to the bare bones of lifestyle, purpose, whereas on a commercial level, you're looking at the wider picture and the footfall.
Yeah, and there's so many other influences.
Yeah.
Like there's the actual commercial influence that the client's going to want bums on seats if it's a restaurant or whatever it is. You know, it's those different things that make you adapt as a designer to properly kind of cover so many different factors, whereas home's a home, isn't it? At the end of the day, it doesn't really change, does it?
I have a question, though. It's semi-related. What do you say to people when you walk into their homes and they say, come and have a look at this carpet I've just had fitted, and it's a horrible carpet? What's your go-to?
I find this really difficult. Because sometimes my face can't lie. Same with you, Amy. And I think if people know me well enough, they know my reaction without me saying any words. However...
I can lie.
Can you lie?
I can give it the big sell if I need to.
I mean, I don't know. It hasn't happened to me in a long time, so...
It's happened to me quite recently.
What did you say?
I think I made a comment about it going well with the colour of the walls.
That's
nice.
A good way. It's deflecting. Deflecting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you like my carpet? It goes well with the walls.
Works well with the wall colour, doesn't it?
Not actually commenting on,
Actually, the carpet was awful.
Oof.
But it did match the walls, so...
Can you describe it?
No, I don't want to because it's identifiable then, isn't it?
Okay. So we actually talked about our own house that way.
She was actually around at mine.
At least she wasn't at mine. Is it from a perception point of view then? In terms of... They rebranded, let's be honest, a lot of interior design courses became interior architecture. Yeah. Certainly when I went to uni, it was definitely happening then because the course that I did was interior design before it was interior architecture. Do you think rather than trying to make it sound sexier and just standing up for interior design as a proper profession anyway, they should take a different approach and make it more professional by having a registration for the course
100%,
rather than trying to make it sound something it's not, because we can't be architects.
No,
this is pointed out.
It's true.
It's like, even though our degree is interior architecture, we cannot be architects because of the REBA protection of the terminology, and rightly so, because there's a process to register to do that. Shouldn't the same thing then exist for interior design, for interior designers?
Yeah, but also on that respect for architects as well.
Yes.
I mean, they're qualified architects, but yet you find that most architects have to bring in interior designers because they don't have the same knowledge. I think it works both ways, but I agree with you.
This is where there should be greater parity, shouldn't it? Rather than fighting with each other as often does. Having some kind of process, which they do in other countries, in fairness. America, you have to be registered there as an interior designer. Otherwise, you're an interior decorator.
And that's where the
distinction.
Differentiation.
That makes sense.
That's right. And there is an exam process to go through at the end of your interior design degree to prove that.
Yeah.
But then that's where I think they get it right, because then everyone sits around the table and everyone gets to say when there's a new project. Whereas we still, in this country, in the UK, there is still that perception problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
That even architects kind of look down their nose at interior design.
Yeah.
Not as badly, I think, as they used to. But we've talked before, like, again, going back to TV, all the good shows, the really good design shows, tend to be architecturally led, which is actually quite interior design orientated. Yet the interior design shows themselves don't live up to that.
No.
And that's so frustrating.
It is frustrating for us. It really is.
That's such a misconception. I've got some points here. These are literally like facts about interior design and the differences. And it says, hiring an interior designer is very costly. Do we agree or disagree with that?
I think, no, I don't. I disagree. I don't think it is.
It depends if you value the service, doesn't it?
I think particularly now there's lots of pop-ups, aren't there, online where people don't even go and visit a space and they will do X amount of boards for
E-design. Yeah.
E-design.
Yeah, it's a
Thank
growing
you.
thing. You're welcome, man. I think that is the point, though, isn't it? That as an industry, again, we can be adaptable and give people a variety of services, actually,
Yeah.
where it hasn't got to be
It's like a
high-end.
consultancy.
Yeah, they can have as much or as little as
But it's about that accessibility, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah, but also, again, if you come back to it being a recognised industry
Or good
and
design.
registered, then it would probably cut out a lot of that chaff.
Chaff's a good word.
Um,
I hope I'm not in the chaff.
because there aren't as many people offering as many services. I mean, anybody could set themselves up a website, couldn't they, and produce
Yeah.
a few
That's a fact.
Of course they can.
Right now,
say,
yeah.
Concept
You-
boards
and
and
say,
mood boards and say, yeah,
I'm an
there you
interior
go.
designer, give me £50 and I'll give you a board.
Yeah.
don't
So yes,
have-
that
yeah.
is affordable, but is it
Good.
right?
Yeah, and is it good?
Is it good design?
That's the issue again, isn't it? And that's actually, again, probably feeds into the perception, because anybody literally tomorrow could start up an interior design business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No qualification, no nothing, anything. They could just go straight in and do
Yeah.
it. And I think
And does it devalue what people have worked so hard
that's
for?
the argument, I think, isn't it? Because actually, some people will still be very good at that, because they naturally probably are good at doing the kind of thing.
They've got a good eye.
Good eye. It's the left one, by the way. But does it devalue it ultimately, which I think is a stronger argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, there is still plenty of participation in interior design courses, isn't there? Which is interesting when you don't necessarily need
Yeah.
to have a qualification.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
We know that people,
Of course we do. Yeah.
actually,
Anyone that's invested in it and has
Yeah.
a passion for it wants to know more.
Yeah.
yes, and I'd agree, and that's what it's about, isn't
I think it's that getting to that level of professionalism as well.
it? Yeah.
So you're setting yourself apart from cowboys, so to speak. I know, honestly.
They don't know carpet from curtains.
They don't.
Here's another one then. Interior designers only work with expensive materials.
No.
No, that's not true at all.
Well, we know that.
Well, we do know. It depends on the budget as well. It depends on the client, it depends on the budget, it depends on the purpose, the intent.
Exactly, and if it's a good designer, that's exactly what they're doing. They're
Of course you
listening
do.
to the
You work
client,
to your
aren't they?
It's like saying you don't live to your means. Of course you're going to live to your means. You design to your means as well. You design to the budget. And if you didn't do that, you weren't a very good designer.
I know we were just talking about it being it needs to be recognised and there needs to be education and whatever. But I would just like to bring Stacey Solomon into this. Okay, I'm obsessed with Stacey Solomon, and her Instagram is amazing. And she renovates her.
Yeah.
She
Her
moved into a
house
new
is
house.
beautiful though. Oh my
Really
God.
beautiful, and she's renovating it.
Yeah.
But she's done it really cheaply, and she doesn't hide the fact
No.
that some of the stuff that she's bought.
That's her whole art. That's her MO though, isn't it?
But actually, she gets good results. And I know it's different because she's doing it for herself, so she knows exactly what she likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
And that's not to say that she could do it for somebody else. But I just think that shows that it is achievable on a budget.
Yes, and that's important.
And I just love Stacey Solomon.
Shout out to Stacey.
Got a lot of shout outs.
We have. We've actually covered one of the other points I was going to make. You don't need to have to have an education to be an interior designer. And I think that does ultimately cause some problems.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't want something to become inaccessible.
No.
But
Yes.
equally, there does need to be
A bar.
something that differentiates between those who can and those who can't.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, I think we covered that quite a lot, really, with what we were saying. Here's a good one, though. Interior designers make all the decisions for you.
Oh, absolutely not.
No, I don't like making a decision on a project. Actually, there is a distinction between residential here and commercial. Because actually, working commercially, you probably do as a designer make more decisions
Yes.
because there is an expectation for you to do so.
Yeah.
Because that's why it's probably taken a little bit more seriously in the commercial sense, because you're building up.
Plus, there are certain requirements and very strict specifications sometimes.
Exactly. And a lot of bespoke things.
Yeah.
Because of the type of environments you're working in.
And also, sorry to interrupt you there, Stephen, especially when you're working on a commercial level, you've got a hell of a lot more contractors.
Yes.
who will also be making decisions to tell you, you know, this can't be done, that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't listen to that.
No.
Oh, joking. Only joking.
So-
Whereas residentially, though, it's always the client's choice. They got to live with it.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, they've got to live with it.
Yeah.
You can advise, you can guide, but actually,
yeah, it's a true story.
It's got to be their choice.
And it's dangerous. Making all the decisions for them is incredibly dangerous.
You don't want to mess with someone, do you? When
But
they're
equally, quite a lot, at the time, they don't, even though they might say, I don't know what I'm doing, just you choose, you tell me what I should do, that actually, when it comes down to it, they have a lot of opinion.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
You put
and
something in front of them. Oh no, I don't like that.
Actually,
I should have told you I
And
don't
that's
really
the
like that
important bit,
colour.
isn't it?
I don't like yellow.
That's a thing. Or black grout, apparently. But that's easy when they start to tell you what they don't
Yes.
like. That's
Yeah.
where you kind of
Yeah,
can
yeah,
get
yeah.
the direction. Because actually, there is a lot of things they don't like.
Yeah.
And they don't realise until they have those kinds of
Which is
conversations.
why those kind of projects can be more challenging, because you've got that more personable approach
Yeah.
where things keep going back and forth all the time
Yeah.
because they're challenging. You're putting something in front of them. They're not telling you what they really don't like. You produce something, they say no. You go back to the drawing board with something else. Oh no, I don't really like
Until you get it right.
That's when it becomes really frustrating.
Yeah.
Whereas on a commercial setting, that sometimes is just completely removed.
No, it's quite. I find commercial interiors quite daunting sometimes because every project is a leap into the dark to some degree because somebody's business is riding on it invariably because you're like rebranding or doing something new that there's expectation. People have got to like it to come in to make that business a success. It's not all about design, obviously, but you know, a good chunk of it is, isn't it? Here's something else. Interior designers always want to be trendy.
I don't agree with that.
I've never been trendy in my life.
I don't agree with that at all.
No.
Never been trendy in my life.
I think not being trendy is probably, from a professional point of view, is probably more appealable.
A good designer probably isn't trendy for that reason.
No.
Isn't it? So that they can...
I mean, I think the word unique is a really cliche word, but, you know,
I
kind
also
of fits
hate
purpose.
the word trendy.
Yeah.
Trendy.
Trendy. What does it even mean?
It's the kind of thing your gran would say. Oh, they're very trendy shoes you're wearing.
It's difficult though, because again, so much of what people see though is led by what's popular and what's current, and they think, oh, I know what's good at the minute in interior design because I've got a purple kettle or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's hard as a professional interior designer to come up against that and actually talk a client down from that kind of thing. But that's the beauty of having employing a professional, though, isn't it?
Yes. And I think, especially on a residential context, it's providing a design solution that's a little bit more timeless, like we were talking about earlier, as opposed to something that's on trend.
My favourite one, I think, probably on here, is interior designers don't need to work towards a budget.
Oh, wow.
In what world?
You'd just keep going and going, wouldn't you? You wouldn't stop.
Can you imagine?
That
be the ongoing
magic
project.
money tree in the garden.
I
If only.
don't even understand that at all.
You have to have a parameter.
Of course you would.
You can't not.
Because how would you ever make a decision? Otherwise, everything would be gold plated.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
I mean, it's nice
not so bad.
when you're in education and you have a conceptual approach to certain projects.
Yes.
So you have the flexibility to explore, but on a professional context,
In the real world.
in the
It
real
doesn't work.
world.
Unless you are super, super lucky.
Yeah,
And
and
you
you've
work
got-
for Beyonce.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be the dream. Is that your dream job?
I know, I'd be happy to work for Stacey Solomon.
Yeah.
Sounds like she doesn't need the help, if I'm honest. Sounds like she's got it nailed.
She's got it covered.
Yeah. What a shame.
Anything else that drives you nuts about the misconception of interior design?
No, I think that's pretty much covered it, to be fair, on a loose, overarching scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's so many dynamics at play as we've discussed. It's you want it to be one thing, but equally you want to make it available to many, and it's finding that
balance.
It is a balance, isn't it?
I think the only other thing I would say is that there is an assumption that there are certain skills that you don't have. So you were saying about, being able to recognise a load-bearing wall, for example. There's no way you could do that because you deal with curtains and cushions.
No.
Equally, you wouldn't be able to work out, how many tiles you'd need for your kitchen.
Yeah.
Because why would you have that skill? And I think that's that's something that bothers me.
That's
Just
that,
that actually.
yeah, the learning process
Yeah.
of the subject.
Yeah.
And the history of it
Yeah.
as well,
Of course,
actually, which,
yeah.
you know, we've talked about before. So it's like, it is understanding the subject, I think, that makes you a good designer. And I think anyone who's genuine about interior design
Yeah.
not only appreciates it, but wants to be good at it and not just do a 60-minute makeover.
No,
I think we can all agree on that.
indeed.
That's it then.
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything.
I think so.
Good chat.
That's been the misconceptions of
The
interior design.
misconceptions of interior design. Yeah. I mean, it's one I'm glad we've done, because I do think it's important for us to kind of, you know, as
Yeah.
interior designers talking about design, talk about that more than any other kind of topic, really, because all the other design areas are what they are. Whereas interior design is always seen as that one that's elusive, isn't it?
Yes.
In that sense.
Yeah.
It's been fun, as always. If you like us, then subscribe and come and find us. And we'd love to hear more from you directly. Send us your stories, send us your comments. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.